In today's episode of the KC Sports Authority podcast, we recap Kansas's 93-89 victory over Samford as they just barely squeaked by to get into the round of 32 to face off against Gonzaga. We'll also touch on that matchup as well.
It was good, John. It's your boy JD6 here with my man. Shout out to KC Sports Authority. Make sure y'all go check that podcast out, man.
You heard the man.
And again, welcome in, guys, to the KC Sports Authority podcast. If you're checking us out over here on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for us. We're getting closer to 500. Need about 55, 60 of you left out there to hit us up with a subscription to get us to 500. You can also listen to us over on Spotify. Definitely want to recap last night's 4-hour venture of Kansas versus Samford that we barely squeaked by. 93-89. Lots of things to share about this game, of course, and JB and I are going to have all that for you here. And then we'll touch on a little bit on the Gonzaga matchup tomorrow, 2:15. So not a very long time in between games for Kansas, unfortunately. But before we get into that, shout out again to our sponsor, Churchill's, the Churchill Cigar Lounge over in Topeka, Kansas. They are going to be joining us all March Madness long to be talking about some of the great stuff they do over there. One of their big events coming up in May, which we'll talk about. But Churchill's, one of the best old school tobacco style cigar lounges in the area. Great place for you to go check out, grab a few cigars, and watch some college basketball. They got a nice lounge area. So why not head out there tomorrow on Saturday to watch the KU game and all sorts of college basketball while smoking some premium cigars and hanging out and having a good time with all the guys over there. They've got all sorts of different great blends in sight on store that you can go check out and smoke. A lot of great people there, good conversation, good time there. Also got their upcoming event that we've mentioned before here on the podcast. The Churchill Spring Smoker event coming up in May 18th on a Saturday. This is going to be an all-day adventure in the parking lot. $100 ticket at the door. You can buy your tickets on site at Churchill's. You can also give them a call at 785-273-0102 for your tickets. Just make sure you mention the podcast when you do, or take a screenshot of this and show them the flyer. But that ticket gets you in at 12 o'clock. It's from 12 to 5 in the parking lot. That ticket gives you 10 cigars, that part of that package, which retail value of those is already $140. So you're already saving money by buying this ticket. One meal ticket to a food truck of your choice. They'll have a couple food trucks out there. Some fantastic barbecues, what I hear is on deck for sure. And a couple drink tickets as well. And you can, of course, buy more drink tickets throughout the day. They'll have great deals on cigars, meet with some of the top leaders in the industry, some of their reps from some of their most reputable brands. Go check them out. Live music, food trucks, hourly raffles, and prizes all day long. Again, that is Saturday, May 18th. You can buy tickets at Churchill's in Topeka. You can also give them a call there below, 785-273-0102. Just make sure you mention the podcast when you do. So go check them out, and we're grateful to have them on for the rest of March Madness, and look forward to continuing that relationship with them. Okay, so JB, last night we talked about how this was going to be a wild game. We knew Samford was going to be hitting the threes. We knew they could put up points. Honestly, KU looked pretty good for most of this game. They controlled a lot. I thought they looked pretty solid against the press. Even though Samford was, just like we said, everywhere, they still barely just squeaked by. Just kind of give me your take on this game. Obviously, I guess I'll start with this. We all know the crucial ending, the fast break Timberlake dunk, that the foul was called.
Didn't matter.
Under review, it is very clear and obvious it was missed. We all know that. Mistakes happen. I am all for the people that want to complain that KU squeaked by with the help of the referees. But however, if you break that down, that entire game as a whole, Samford was down 22 points at one point in the second half, and majority of that comeback was definitely helped with some really, really weak calls on the other end of the floor. So the refs are not perfect. Yes, Kansas gets the benefit of the whistle late, but I also think Samford got the benefit of a whistle a lot of the second half, which got them back in. There's just no way we had that many charges drawn against us on those. Remember, stupid little 21 and the little 5'8" guy, the little gnat, as I called him on Twitter. But props to Samford. They had one heck of a game. They put up shots. Achor looked every bit the part that we talked about the other day. They hit a lot of open jumpers. Man, I tweeted earlier that out of bounds play, the circle elevator. Whoo! That
It
was
was nice.
scary. That
Can
was
I?
good. I know Bill Self's done that one too before, but that was beautiful. Yeah, tell me about this game.
There was this guy on Twitter. I feel like I say this every episode. I saw this tweet. It was hilarious. I don't know who it was. I have to go look it up. You could probably word search it like on Twitter, and you'll find it instantly. Oh my gosh, there was someone had tweeted and said something about a chore and his like him coming out for cramps and everything, and I just loved it. The first reply, I opened the tweet. The first reply I saw was it's just simply said ouchore instead of like a chore.
Ouch.
It said
Yeah,
ouchore. I thought it was so funny. Like so funny. So I'm gonna look that up after we record and probably just I don't know give that
He
guy
went
some
out a
props.
couple times late for that too.
Oh my god, he did, and it was it was like, man, he keeps coming back. I'm like, is it cramps? Is it just cramps? Is he hurt? Like, I was selfishly hoping that he was hurt because this comeback was coming. And I was texting you guys. I was like, I was texting with you and Spencer during the game and saying like, this comeback is starting to scare me because they were coming back slowly but surely. And of course, the commentators were talking as if they were on Samford's side, and they were just like, Samford just is coming back. They're sticking with it. All they gotta do is stick to their game plan or whatever. That game was, wow, a lot of surprises. I think one right off the bat, you look at the final score. Wow, we were way off.
Yeah,
I
who had
thought I was really
93
high.
points for Kansas? I was
Without
not
Kevin.
expecting that. Without Kevin.
Without Kevin, we scored 93. And how did we do it? It was simply because we were knocking down shots early. I mean, we talked about in the preview, what do we need to, have some confidence and actually give us a chance to win this game? And I was mentioning, I called out Furphy. I said, look, this guy has been really, really hot a few weeks back. And then just for the last couple of weeks has just been ice cold from three, and he comes out, he nails his first three. Like he got like the first like 6 or 8 points.
I think he had 8 points in the first like 6 minutes.
It was nuts. And then he kind of like calms down a little bit, is a little bit less aggressive, and then insert Nicholas Timberlake, and he comes in and he nails his first couple shots.
Timberlake, as people are calling him on Twitter after last night, because he is him now.
He is no longer Timberclank, because that is God.
Shout out Jayhawk Focus on Twitter if you didn't check up our spaces the other night. Called him I can't Timberclank. Yeah, that was
funny. Brick Timberclank.
But hey, he hit a couple. He also hit the one we needed to, which was that wide open almost dagger at the end.
He did. And I said I don't remember, it was a couple podcasts ago, but we were talking about what we need to make a run, and I was like, man, Nick Timberlake is primed and ready to be our Mr. March. We've had guys like Malik Newman do it before. We've had guys like Remy Martin do it before, and I was saying it's Timberlake's turn. I know Furphy's
time.
It's it's Timmy time. So like, I was so impressed. You had mentioned it before that we were really good against the press for a while. I remember seeing a couple plays. I want to say it was Nick both times. Nick had one, Dewan had one. They were just running straight to the rim and then would lob it to Hunter for a dunk. And I'm like, yes, thank you. More lobs to Hunter. Let's do that, because Hunter's huge. He was towering over the entire team. It's like, if you want to break the press, we've got speed. I was looking at Nick dashing down the court and like, man, that guy's fast. And he made the right choices. He had very few mistakes in my eyes. I was thinking by the end of the game, he is our MVP. I know Hunter got 19 and 20, but like, I was like, if we didn't have Nicholas Timberlake go absolutely off in that game, we would have been screwed. Phenomenal performance. Probably one of our best offensive games of the entire season. So
for sure. 93 points on 60% shooting. KU shot 60% basically the entire game. There was never really a stretch They were missing a lot of shots. They started out super hot from the floor, forcing the ball in the paint. Like I had mentioned, points in the paint was going to be huge. They scored 54 points in the paint to Samford's 24. Obviously dominated there. Hunter and KJ had so many lobs, dunks, easy buckets. There were times where Hunter was still triple team and he was just floating it in there. If you look at this game as a whole and you had to pick one guy to really stand out to you that was the difference maker, it's hard because the entire starting lineup, let's just go through it. Hunter goes 19 points, 20 rebounds on 9 of 14 shooting. Also got 5 assists, which was also pretty cool to see him, find the open guy. KJ does his thing, like I had mentioned, 20 points, 10 of 13 from the field, super aggressive, found the soft spots in their kind of mock zone they ran, and I thought he looked really decent. Other than that early play early in the game where he got the turnover trying to bring the ball up, I thought he looked great in transition. So he was super, super effective. Doesn't rebound the ball very well, 4 rebounds, but had 6 assists, just kind of a good facilitator. Johnny Furphy starts off hot, finishes with 16 points on 5 and 9 shooting, 8 rebounds, 3 assists. Dewan Harris had one of his better games, even though shooting wise, it doesn't look like he went 1 of 5 from 3, but he took the shots he should have been taking. He didn't force anything ugly. 13 points, 7 assists, 4 rebounds. Now his second half struggled a little bit offensively. Didn't really pass the ball quite as well as the first half because he only had 1 assist in the second half. But yeah, Timberlake, 19 points on 5 of 8 shooting, 3 of 6 from 3, 2 rebounds, 3 assists, couple big time moments in there. All around solid. Even El Marco in 22 minutes, I know everyone's going to get on how much he turned the ball over and struggled. He still had a couple of really good moments. His mid-range game, I know that's like all he does is mid-range game, but he had a couple nice mid-range floaters. Solid. Gets the save there at the end of the game to throw it off of Samford's guy to get the ball back to us to kind of close it out. So despite how terrible he was with the ball in his hands and passing, didn't look great. And a couple of those fouls, I think they were bogus. All around, KU looked phenomenal offensively. Still would like to see a few more shots hit. You only go 6 of 18 from 3, and a lot of those were actually open jumpers. They had some pretty good looks, but not a lot to be disappointed with. If we look at the team stats here, what's impressive to me is not only did Kansas win by 4 and score 93 points and give up 89 points, Samford took 25 more shots. I'm sorry, not 25. 15 more shots. 15 more shots. They took 37 threes, 19 three-pointers attempted more than we did. Hit 16, of course, which, they were 2 away from the NCAA record that, of course, KU has also seen before with Villanova back in 2017 or whatever year that was with the Final Four.
That record was against us, right?
But yeah, the record's against us, so it's very fitting that Samford almost does it against us as well. So yeah, I think that's what's impressive to me is despite some of the team statistics Samford put up, KU still somehow gets the victory. And I think some of it, fast break points, we scored 24 points in transition. That's fantastic. And that was really the key in the first half was breaking that press. We knew Samford was going to come in and be super aggressive and physical and force pressure, and they did. And we still struggled. We still had a bunch of turnovers. We ended up still with 18 turnovers, which is awful. Most turnovers on the season. And somehow we still get the victory. So a lot to be happy about. The depth is still a concern, of course. I actually thought Parker played a couple good minutes. He came in, had that really nice. He only played 2 minutes in the entire game. And it was late in the second half. Gets a big block. Yeah. Jamari McDowell did not look great in his 3 minutes, of course. There was a lot of Timberlake and El Marco, which we said going in, we were going to need both of those guys to step up and play well. And even though they still made plenty of mistakes, what else are you going to do? There's no one else to turn to. So I'm all around pretty pleased. It definitely felt like, I definitely will say this. It was not a neutral site game. I don't care how many Samford fans, KU fans were there or not. It was all Samford all night. And I think Derek mentioned this on Locked On Jayhawks today too, that there's probably a lot of Gonzaga fans in there that were rooting against us, which I could see because they don't want to play. Sure. They'd rather play the lesser opponent. But it definitely did not feel like there was a KU atmosphere at all. It was struggle to get the crowd going on KU side. Every call was boo, for Samford, everybody, every little thing. And I got to tell you, there were so many ticky-tack calls in the second half, and I don't want to waste any time talking about the rest. But, yeah, all around good game. KU advances. They squeak by 93-89. Now, of course, they've got a quicker turnaround, less than 30-ish hours, give or take, 38 hours
Yeah, something like that.
to get ready for Gonzaga, who played right before them. Gonzaga also looked good in their matchup. But any other things you want to mention or take away from this game before we briefly touch on Gonzaga?
You know, well, I think we basically said a lot, but we have to kind of address the big scandal with the call. Look, that you kind of glazed over it, but it was like, yes, the foul was
It was a huge moment.
ghost foul.
I mean,
Like,
everybody was watching. Everybody on Twitter was talking about it. All the analysts
Yeah.
were, hey, Samford got screwed. And it's true. In that moment, they did. In that moment, they did. We can all
in that
acknowledge
one
that.
singular moment.
One moment
Yes,
cannot define a
it
whole
was a
game.
bad call. We get that, but yeah, like you said, I mean, the calls throughout it's like, what about the calls throughout the game? And there's half of KU Twitter is out there saying this one very important point that I love. We were leading the entire game. We were in control for much of that game. We were leading the entire game. I mean, give it to the team that is just better. Us. We were better. We were the better team. We deserved to win that game. I don't care if the refs made a bad call or not. Who's to say that they would have even made a shot on the other end after the block if it was never called a foul? They let the block stand. Who's to say they would have even made a shot? We were still up. Like, it's not like they made a bad call and then we got to shoot free throws and took the lead. Okay, we still had the lead by a point. So I'm so sick and tired of hearing all these people saying like, "Oh, like Samford, paying the refs," or sorry, not no, it's Kansas paying the refs. So sick and tired of hearing those people say stuff like that. I'm like, dude, this isn't favoritism for Kansas. It was a bad call, sure. There are plenty of bad calls throughout the game, but we earned that win. And I don't want to hear anything about that ref. I mean, we earned it. Yes, it was a bad call, whatever. I'm sorry. I'm like ranting, but I'm like so annoyed that everyone's like looking at it like, oh, this is a big controversy. It's not a big controversy. It's just a bad call, and it happened to be at the very end of the game.
Now, I will say this because there are a lot of people who are like, oh, how can the refs be this bad? How can they review other stuff and not that? In real time, when you see a guy flying into the rim and a guy flying behind him, and the way Timberlake came off the rim and fell, that's an easy call to blow the whistle on because, yeah, how else would you think that happened? In a real time, real moment right there, flying by, it's easy to make that call. Obviously, they know they got it wrong, but like we said, it was not the only call that screwed Samford. There were plenty of calls that got them back in the game late. A lot of ticky-tack stuff, a lot of the stupid, charge calls. There was a call that DeJuan got called for a push-off on one side, and then the exact same thing happened on the other end, and they didn't call it. So, yeah.
Yep.
KU outlast Samford, did what they needed to do to get the victory, and now we get Gonzaga. So now JB, who kind of had us going down round one.
I did.
And now you did.
My
did
bracket,
you actually put it in your official bracket?
I changed my bracket thanks to our recording. I was like,
You're
look,
welcome.
you know what? You guys kind of convinced me. I know I said in the recording, and I stood by it. I was like, I predict that we're going to lose this game. But for the sake of my bracket, I was like, I'm going to put us ahead because, look, I'm still a KU fan. I'm still a believer.
Go down round one.
I was like, I think the probability of, like, for the bracket, I mean, my prediction is separate from me trying to win a bracket challenge. Okay, this is like
They can be two different things. Yeah,
they can be two different things. So like I did change it. So I have Gonzaga beating us in the round of 32 in my bracket. I'm not happy about it. I'm not going to be rooting for Gonzaga. I could give two craps about my bracket challenge if Kansas is still in the tournament, busting my own bracket. I don't care. Yeah. So yeah, and it's going to be a tough game against Gonzaga because I know they're having a down year, but guess what? So
a down year,
right?
26-7,
right? They're having a down year. I mean, for a little bit there, it was kind of looking like they might potentially miss the tournament. But that was like really early on. Man, that would have been funny. But I'm glad their conference title streak is over. It's a down year for Gonzaga. But that doesn't change the fact that they're scary. They absolutely handled business against McNeese. They stood no chance against them. And here I
Yeah,
was
and
thinking
that
McNeese
was
was
a
running them
game
out.
that a lot of people were wanting the
Yeah.
12-5 upset with McNeese because
Oh,
of
yeah.
how Will Wade has coached his team, and they were terrible. They went 23 of 69 from the floor, 33%, 5 of 22 from three. They still scored 65, considering how poorly they shot, which is great. They had two guys go for 19 apiece, but they had Wells, their guard, went 6 of 25. That's bad. 1 of 8. It was ugly. Gonzaga looked really good, coming in as the 5 seed, which is again a low ranking for them. But I mean, they had 4 guys in double figures. Anton Watson almost had a triple double, 13 points, 13 rebounds, 9 assists. Graham Ike, a guy that KU looked at in the offseason as well. He was probably 1B if Hunter wasn't coming here. He's probably the next guy most likely, in my opinion. He looked fantastic. 23 minutes, 6 of 6 from the floor. Perfect from the floor, 16 points, 10 rebounds. Let's talk about Gonzaga. Gonzaga is a well-coached team. We all know Mark Few's a good coach. The question has always been, can he do it in March when he's up against real talent, real teams? But this is a very experienced team. They've got Ryan Nimhard, the former Creighton transfer, younger brother of Andrew Nimhard that also played. So he's experienced. He's their junior. This is his first year. They're averaging 13 points a game, essentially 6 and almost 7 assists. Watson obviously came back, decided to come back. He's their other senior. He's been there for several years, 14 points. He's been here 5 years, and he's basically gotten better every single year, just continues on the uptick. So they're a very experienced team, and that addition of Graham Ike in the middle is solid. They looked really good. They shot 51.7% from the floor, 10 of 21 from three for 47%. So that scares me a little bit there, of course, with the three. Not quite as high volume as Samford, so maybe we can grind it out. I actually think this is a decent matchup for us. It's not. It doesn't feel like it's going to be quite as much run and gun pressure, high turnover type game. It feels like it's going to be much more of a half court style, good defense, good rebounding. I think it's going to be Graham Ike, Hunter Dickinson, back and forth. Ike's a good defender. He's athletic, so we know that gives Hunter struggles. But you got 2 really good point guards going up against each other, Nimhard and DeJuan Harris. I think Harris has to have another good game defensively. Obviously, we need Furphy and Timberlake to hit some threes again. I still look at KJ as kind of being the other important guy. Ben Gregg is one of their other juniors that Gonzaga plays at the 4 spot. They also slide Watson down there, and I think KJ can match up well there with his size, his speed, and athleticism. So, yeah, I think this is going to be another fun matchup. I was back and forth all this a lot when the bracket came out. KU opens as a 4.5-point underdog. Rightfully so, because I still think Gonzaga was playing better as a team, obviously. No Kevin McClure, but without Kevin McClure, it looked pretty decent. So I think it's going to be a great matchup. Still need to look solid offensively. You hope we can go 60% from the floor again. I doubt that'll happen. There's just no way. So I would not be shocked if we start out struggling to score, and this is a grinded out kind of game.
If we play like we played against Samford, we are going to run them out of the gym. We're not going to have 18 turnovers because a lot of those turnovers were because of Samford. One of the turnovers was because of Johnny Furphy. What the heck was that? When
I've never
got it
seen
over
that.
the line, threw it right back.
I've never seen that before. And then he kind of I don't think he even realized it in the moment, because they showed the replay from behind him throwing back that way, and he kind of stopped and looked up and was like, didn't even realize that he threw the ball. But never seen that.
Bad.
Never seen that. Now, in his defense, KU doesn't really go up against anybody all year that's pressured like that. So it's just kind of an odd moment, a brain fart. El Marco has the other one where he throws it to DeJuan when DeJuan cuts and throws it out of bounds. Yeah. Still had your freshman mistakes, of course.
Those will happen. But yeah, I mean, we're not going to have 18 turnovers if we can shoot like we shot against Samford. Oh my gosh. Yeah, these guys are getting run out of the gym, and we're gonna be smooth sailing into Sweet 16, and hopefully it's against a decent opponent that we can easily take down. But man, I gotta tell you, this game is very scary. It's still very scary, even in a down year. It's going to take our best effort, but luckily, at least based off of the small sample size of the Samford game, our guys are stepping up in the bright lights. I mean, DeJuan's been there and KJ's been there on a national championship team. Everyone else is new from that team, but like this team and this, of course, our coach, the legend himself, Bill Self, we've been there. We have the capability to win this game. I actually, I'm thinking back to when we saw our initial draw, and we talked about how like, oh, the popular opinion is we either lose to Samford or we go to the Elite Eight. And so I'm looking at this like, yeah, we got past Samford. We're probably going to the Elite Eight. I'm
Hey,
flooded
did
with
I
confidence.
not say that on the game preview? I said there's one of two things that happen. We lose to Samford, or this team somehow finds himself in the Elite Eight and we're scratching our heads. Now, there's still a long way to get there. Of course, Gonzaga is a big opponent. Then you still got the, TCU, Utah State have to play, and then that team has to take on Purdue, who's probably not going to lose the first round this year. So still a lot that has to happen to get there. But you definitely feel much more confident about this team. I mean, we've said this all last, 3 or 4 weeks. If this team can start hitting some freaking shots and make the easy stuff, hit some 3-pointers, they've got a good fighting chance. And that happened last night. Didn't hit a large amount. 6 of 18 is not great. It's good for our standards this year. 6 is huge. But yeah, if like we said, if Furphy and Timberlake can combine for 5 threes a night, you feel pretty solid there. Because if they're getting open jumpers, it just changes how teams have to defend. It gives KJ and Hunter a little bit more room to work with. Where they just can't sag as much. So I think it's gonna be a great matchup. Hopefully Hunter's not double, triple teamed quite as much. Which could actually play to our disadvantage, because then KJ's got to find some room to move. But I think it's going to be a good matchup. I'm kind of back and forth at the early here. I don't think it's going to be quite as high scoring as both teams were. I think it's going to be more of a grinded out. So I see this game being played more in the 70s, lower 70s.
Yep.
If KU does what they need to do and they pull out a victory, I've got it like a 73-71 down to the wire kind of game.
Yeah.
Last night was.
I was thinking like 75-71. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can totally see how Gonzaga wins this game. They might be just a little bit more physical and just more experienced at all levels. And again, well coached, and Nimhard's a really good point guard. But yeah, I think Watson's kind of the one to keep an eye on. How does Furphy look on him defensively? And then how do they match up against us on the other side too with KJ and Hunter? I can see them trying a couple different things there. So should be a fun matchup, 2:15 Central Time. Tomorrow, Saturday. Hopefully you guys get a chance to check this out before the game. Just lock in. It's gonna be fun. I think win or lose, we feel much better about this team pulling out the victory last night than going home night one. Nobody wants to lose round one. You all want to get at least to the second weekend of the tournament, but at least getting by the first game, you feel pretty decent about this team. So we'll wrap it up there. Again, shout out to our sponsor, Churchill's. You can see across the bottom there over in Topeka, Churchill Cigar Lounge. Go check them out this weekend. Great place to watch some of the games in their lounge, as well as smoke a couple cigars, hang out with some really cool people. So go check them out this weekend. They've also got that, again, their smoker event coming up May 18th. You can buy tickets at Churchill's or give them a call at 785-273-0102. $100 ticket, all sorts of items that come with that $100 package. So the total retail value of that is well above $150. So go check them out this weekend. Get your tickets, lock them in for a couple weeks from now. And that'll do it for this one. We'll wrap up. Don't know when the next one will be as far as KU's related. If they win, I'm sure we'll have some sort of recap Sunday into Monday. If they lose, we might wait a couple days until things kind of cool down. And then
and I'm done crying.
Get some objectivity going into a recap. So we'll get into that later in the week. Make sure you like and subscribe to the show here on YouTube, because there's still other stuff going on. We got Royals opening days next week. So we got some more baseball stuff coming up here soon. There's always Chiefs offseason talk with CJ and Chris and myself. And then, K football spring games coming up. So all sorts of stuff going on. You want to make sure you were here to check out all of it. So again, hit that like and subscribe button. We are on our way to 500, getting closer. Your like and subscribe definitely helps get us there. You can also check us out on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at KCSA Pod. And just remember, we do have some giveaways. The first giveaway will be going on later this weekend. We will be announcing that on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram coming up here soon later today. So make sure you check us out there, because even if you didn't join us for the March Madness Bracket Challenge, as long as you follow us on any of our socials, you'll still be eligible for those drawings. So go check us out there. That'll do it for this one. Thanks again for joining us, and hopefully we can go get another dub tomorrow. Rock Chalk.
That's right. Rock Chalk.